I remember that Christmas morning like it was etched in fire, the kind that burns slow and deep until there's nothing left but ashes. Our cozy suburban living room was alive with the glow of the tree lights twinkling against the frosted windows, stockings bulging with little treats I'd stuffed the night before, and the faint scent of pine mixing with the cinnamon rolls I'd baked from scratch. Emily, our 12-year-old daughter, was already ripping into her pile of gifts, her eyes wide with that pure kid excitement, while Jake, our 8-year-old son, bounced on the couch clutching a new action figure. I'd been up since dawn, making sure everything was perfect. The decorations I'd hung alone after Mark claimed he was 2. Tired from work, the breakfast I'd prepped while he slept in, all after 15 years of pouring my soul into this family. I'd quit my graphic design job to raise the kids, handled every school event, doctor's appointment, and bill payment thinking it built us stronger. But lately, it felt like I was just fading into the background. Welcome to Martha's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you, right? Now, I read every single comment and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this. Here you go, Sarah, Mark said, handing me a flat, rectangular box wrapped in shiny red paper with a sloppy bow on top. He was lounging in his robe, 42 and still handsome in that polished way, but his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. It hadn't for months. The kids paused their chaos to watch, Emily nudging Jake with a grin. "Open it, Mom." Dad said it's something special. I forced a laugh, my heart lifting just a bit as I tore the paper, hoping for once he'd notice the hints I'd dropped about needing something nice, something that said I mattered. But there it was, a blender. Not even a fancy one. A cheap plastic model from the discount aisle, the box dented like he'd grabbed it on a whim. My stomach dropped, the weight of it hitting me hard like all those years of putting him first, of skipping my own dreams to support his career climbs, boiled down to this insulting afterthought. "It's for the kitchen," Mark added with a casual shrug, already turning back to sip his coffee. "You know, for those healthy shakes you make sometimes. Practical, right?" Practical. The word echoed in my head like a mockery, amplifying the neglect I'd felt creeping in, the late nights he spent at the office, the weekends he vanished on business trips, leaving me to hold everything together alone. I stared at the box, my fingers tracing the cheap label, feeling the humiliation rise hot in my chest. Emily tilted her head, sensing something off. "Mom, you like it?" I swallowed hard, plastering on a smile that felt like glass cracking. "Yeah, sweetie, it's great. Just what I needed." But inside, it stung like betrayal, a clear sign I was worth so little to him now, after everything I'd sacrificed. The kids dove back into their gifts, laughter filling the room as Jake whooped over a video game, and Emily tried on a new sweater I'd picked out for her. I set the blender aside on the coffee table, trying to shake off the hurt, telling myself maybe I was overreacting. Mark's phone buzzed on the side table, and he glanced at it quickly before stepping out to the hallway, murmuring something about a work call. "On Christmas," I called softly, but he waved it off without looking back. I busied myself picking up wrapping paper scraps, the crinkle of them masking my uneven breaths, but the house was quiet enough that his voice carried from around the corner. He thought he was being discreet, but I heard every word, clear as day. "Yeah, baby, I'm glad you love the diamond necklace," Mark whispered into the phone, his tone all warm and affectionate, the way he used to talk to me back when we were young and in love. "It looks stunning on you. Cost a pretty penny, but you're worth it. Can't wait to see you wear it tonight." My world tilted, the words slamming into me like a freight train. Diamond necklace? For who? The pieces clicked in a rush. The distance, the secrets, the way he'd been pulling away. He had a mistress. Some other woman getting diamonds while I got a blender, like I was just the maid in his life. Heartbreak clawed at my throat, the injustice of it all making my vision blur with unshed tears. How could he do this? After I'd given up my career, my independence to build this home for us. I froze in place, the wrapping paper slipping from my hands, as Mark wrapped up the call with a low chuckle. "Merry Christmas to you, too. See you soon." He strolled back in, slipping the phone into his pocket like nothing happened, and plopped down next to the kids. "Everything good out there?" he asked casually, ruffling Jake's hair. I nodded, my voice stuck somewhere deep, forcing myself to pick up the mess and act normal. "Yeah, just cleaning up." But inside, the humiliation burned brighter, mixing with a raw neglect that made me feel invisible, worthless in my own marriage. The kids chattered on, oblivious, as I glanced at Mark laughing with them, his secret hanging in the air like poison. "Want to try out the blender, Mom?" Emily asked innocently, holding up some fruit from the kitchen counter she'd grabbed. I shook my head gently, managing a weak smile. "Maybe later, hun." Mark didn't even notice my silence, too busy scrolling his phone again. The neglect hit deeper now, layered with this fresh betrayal, my mind reeling from the overheard words. Who was she? How long? The questions swirled, but I pushed them down, not wanting to shatter the kid's day. Still, a flashing thought cut through the pain, like leaving divorce papers under the tree for him to find, a quiet spark of resistance amid the heartbreak. I couldn't act on it yet, not here, not now, but it lingered, fierce and unyielding. As the morning wore on, I sat there amid the torn paper and joyful squeals, staring at that blender on the table. It mocked me, a cheap symbol of how little I meant anymore, its plastic gleam reflecting the tree lights like a cruel joke. The injustice of it all settled heavy in my chest, but I held it together for the kids, for the moment. Little did I know, that was just the beginning. That Christmas afternoon dragged on like a bad dream I couldn't wake from, the house still buzzing with the kids' energy while I felt like I was sinking into quicksand. Emily and Jake were sprawled on the living room floor, building a fort out of empty gift boxes and laughing as they stacked them higher, their innocence a sharp contrast to the storm raging inside me. I'd managed to keep it together through lunch, serving up the ham I'd glazed the night before and chatting about their new toys. But every time my eyes landed on that blender sitting on the kitchen counter, the overheard phone call replayed in my head, Mark gushing about a diamond necklace for some baby who wasn't me. The betrayal gnawed at me, making my hands tremble as I cleared the plates, and I kept stealing glances at him, wondering how he could sit there acting so normal, scrolling through his phone with that satisfied grin. "Sarah, you seem off today," Mark said finally, looking up from the couch where he was lounging with a beer in hand. His voice had that edge of annoyance, like I was the one causing problems. I paused at the sink, water running over the dishes, and turned to face him. "Off? It's Christmas, Mark. Just tired from getting everything ready." He nodded, but his eyes flicked back to his screen too quickly, and something about it pushed me over the edge. I dried my hands on a towel and walked over, my heart pounding. "Who were you talking to earlier? On that call in the hallway?" He froze for a split second, then shrugged it off. "Just a client wishing them happy holidays. Why?" I searched his face for any sign of guilt, but he held my gaze steadily, lying right to my face. "Sounded pretty personal," I pressed, my voice low so the kids wouldn't hear. "Something about a diamond necklace?" Mark's expression hardened, and he set his beer down with a thud. "You're imagining things, Sarah. It was business, gifts for partners. Drop it." I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but Emily poked her head in from the living room just then. "Mom, can we have cookies now?" Her sweet face pulled me back and I nodded, forcing a smile. "Sure, hun, coming right up." As I grabbed the plate from the counter, avoiding that damn blender, Mark stood up and leaned in close. "Don't make a scene today, the kids are having fun." His whisper felt like a threat, and I nodded silently, the humiliation twisting deeper as he walked away like he'd won. But as I handed out the cookies, my mind raced. Business gifts? On our joint card, probably. I glanced at his phone charging on the side table, temptation pulling at me, but I held back, not ready to dive in yet with the kids around. Later that evening, after the kids were glued to a holiday movie in the den, I slipped upstairs to our bedroom for a moment alone, telling Mark I had a headache. The room felt suffocating, with our wedding photo on the dresser mocking me, us smiling on our honeymoon, back when he looked at me like I was his world. I sat on the bed, pulling out my own phone, and out of habit, scrolled through social media to distract myself. That's when it hit me like a gut punch. A post from someone named Lisa, a woman I'd seen in Mark's work contacts before but never thought twice about. There she was in a glamorous selfie, the diamond necklace sparkling around her neck. Captioned, "Best Christmas gift ever, feeling so spoiled." My breath caught. The design matched what I'd imagined from his call, intricate and expensive. Nothing like the cheap appliance he'd tossed my way. I zoomed in, my fingers shaking, and sure enough, it was real, not some filter trick. Who was she? A colleague? More? The post confirmed it all. The affair, the disparity, Him pouring our money into her while I got scraps. I stared at the screen. The neglect from years of marriage flooding back. Me handling the household budget. Cutting corners for the kids' activities while he racked up expenses I never questioned. Heartbreak mixed with rage as I realized this wasn't new. Those late nights, the sudden gym obsession, it all pointed to her. I saved the screenshot quietly, my first tiny act of noting something off. But I didn't confront him yet. The kids' laughter from downstairs reminded me of the fallout if I exploded now. Instead, I composed myself and headed back down, where Mark was dozing on the couch. "Feeling better?" he asked lazily as I sat beside him. I nodded but couldn't hold it in entirely. Saw something interesting online. A woman with a diamond necklace looks just like the one you mentioned. His eyes snapped open and he sat up straighter. "What are you talking about? You're paranoid, Sarah. It's probably coincidence." I pressed on, my voice steady. "Is it? Because it feels like more than that." He sighed dramatically, rubbing his temples. "The blender was practical for our home, for the family. Stop overthinking gifts. If you're unhappy, that's on you." His dismissal lit a fire in me, but before I could respond, Jake ran in, excited about the movie's ending. "Dad, you missed the best part." Mark laughed and pulled him into a hug, shifting the mood. But I saw the flicker of worry in his eyes. That night, as we got ready for bed, I noticed him on his laptop in the home office. The door cracked just enough for me to peek. He was logging into our bank accounts, his fingers flying across the keys. I pretended to grab water from the kitchen and glanced over. Transfers, big ones. Moving money from our joint savings to some new account I'd never seen. "What are you doing?" I asked casually, stepping in. He minimized the window quickly. "Just handling some bills. Go to bed, Sarah." But I'd seen enough. Thousands shifted, probably to hide assets for her, for Lisa. Protecting his secret life while leaving me exposed. The injustice burned hot. Our savings were from my frugal planning too, meant for the kids' future, not his affair. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling while Mark snored beside me, the weight of it all pressing down. The seed of retaliation planted itself then, a quiet resolve to watch, to note these moves without tipping my hand. I wasn't fighting back yet, overwhelmed by the emotional blow and terrified of what a blow-up would do to Emily and Jake, splitting holidays and homes. But as I clutched my phone under the covers, replaying Lisa's post in my mind, I knew I couldn't let this slide forever. The betrayal had gone from words to actions, him stealing from our life to build hers, and it fueled a growing anger. Morning came too soon with the kids up early for leftover fun, but I played along, serving breakfast with that blender mocking me from the counter. "Want a smoothie, anyone?" I asked lightly, and Mark chuckled. "See? Practical." His lie hung there, but I smiled through it, quietly planning my next glance at those accounts when he wasn't looking. By evening, as we wrapped up the day, Mark suggested a family game night, acting like the perfect dad. We sat around the table, cards in hand, and he dealt with that same smug ease. "Your turn, Sarah," he said. But I could tell his mind was elsewhere, probably on Lisa and that necklace. I lost the game on purpose, excusing myself early, but not before noting his phone light up with a text from L. He silenced it quick, but the damage was done. In the quiet of the bathroom, I let a few tears fall, the heartbreak real, but mixed now with a spark of fight. I wouldn't confront again today, not with the kids' joy at stake, but the seed grew, maybe check statements, maybe talk to a friend. For now, I held back, but the conflict had begun, and he had no idea what was coming. The afternoon after that awful Christmas morning blurred into evening faster than I expected. The house still cluttered with wrapping paper scraps and the kids' new toys scattered everywhere. I was in the kitchen, mechanically putting away leftovers from lunch, when Mark came up behind me, his arms wrapping around my waist in a hug that felt more like a performance than affection. "Hey, how about we make tonight special? A little family dinner to extend the holiday vibe." His voice was smooth, like he hadn't just lied to my face about that phone call and the social media post I'd seen. I tensed up, pulling away slightly to face him. "Dinner? With who?" He smiled that charming grin he'd used to win me over years ago. "Just us and a colleague from work, Lisa. She's alone this Christmas, no family around. It'll be nice, low-key. You can throw together that pasta bake you do so well." I froze at the name, Lisa, the same one from the post with the diamond necklace. My mind raced back to her selfie, the sparkle that screamed betrayal. But I kept my expression neutral, not wanting to tip my hand yet. A colleague? On Christmas evening? Mark nodded, already pulling out his phone to text her. Yeah, she's been a big help on projects. Come on, Sarah, it's the holidays, spirit of giving and all that. The kids overheard from the living room and came running in, Emily's eyes lighting up. A dinner party? Can I help set the table? Jake bounced on his toes. Yeah, and can we have dessert again? Their excitement made it hard to say no, so I agreed, forcing a smile as I started prepping the meal. Inside, though, the neglect hit harder, me slaving over another dinner while he invited his mistress right into our home, disguising it as kindness. By 6 o'clock, the table was set with our holiday plates, candles flickering softly, and the aroma of garlic bread filling the air. The doorbell rang and Mark jumped up to answer it, his eagerness a subtle tell that twisted my gut. There she was, Lisa, stepping inside with a bottle of wine and a warm smile. Her mid-30s frame dressed in a festive sweater and jeans that looked effortlessly chic. Hi everyone, Merry Christmas, she said, handing the wine to Mark. But my eyes locked straight on her neck, the diamond necklace dangling there, catching the light from the tree exactly like the one in her post. It was real, up close and personal, a glittering symbol of everything he'd given her instead of me. My heart pounded, the visual sting like a slap, but I extended my hand. Nice to meet you, Lisa. I'm Sarah. She shook it firmly, her perfume wafting over me. Mark's told me so much about you. Your home is lovely. We sat down to eat, the kids chattering away as I served the pasta, trying to keep my hands steady. Emily asked Lisa about her job, and she laughed lightly. Oh, I work with your dad on some big accounts. He's brilliant at what he does. Mark reached over, patting her arm in a way that lingered just a second too long, subtle, but enough to make my stomach churn with humiliation. Team effort, he said, glancing at me with a pointed look, like I should join in the praise. I forced a nod, picking at my food, the necklace's sparkle drawing my eye every time she moved. It screamed injustice. Diamonds for her, a blender for me, after I'd given up my career to build this life. The food's great, Sarah, Lisa added politely. You're a natural in the kitchen, Mark chimed in. See, practical talents pay off. That word again, practical, like I was just the help, deepening the neglect I'd swallowed for years. Halfway through the meal, Mark pulled out a folder from his bag by the chair, sliding it across the table toward me. While we're all here, Sarah, this is that business loan paperwork I mentioned. Lisa can witness the signature, save us a trip to the office. I stared at the documents, recognizing the account details from the transfers I'd glimpsed on his laptop yesterday. This wasn't just a loan, it was a way to legitimize moving more of our joint money, probably to hide it for her or protect it from any fallout. A loan? Now, on Christmas? I asked, flipping through the pages slowly, stalling as I scanned the fine print. Mark's smile tightened. It's straightforward, helps expand the business for our family's future. Just sign, hun. I hesitated, my voice low. I need to read it carefully. Can I get a copy to review later? He leaned in, his tone dropping to that gaslighting whisper. Come on, Sarah, don't make this awkward. It's for us, for the kids. You're always so paranoid about money. Trust me for once. Lisa shifted in her seat, looking uncomfortable but not intervening, her necklace glinting mockingly under the lights. The kids noticed the tension, Emily frowning. Mom, what's wrong? Dad says it's for the family. Mark seized the moment, turning to them with a sad sigh. Yeah, kids, Mom's just being careful, but sometimes it makes things harder for everyone. We don't want to spoil the fun, right? Imagine if we could afford that vacation we talked about. This helps make it happen. Jake's eyes widened. The beach one. Mom, please sign so we can go. Emily nodded along. Dad's right. It's probably fine. Their words stung like betrayal, Mark framing me as the obstacle, the one disrupting our happy home. I felt the isolation wrap around me like a cold blanket. They were too young to see his manipulation, worrying more about stability than the truth. It's not that simple, I murmured, but Mark pressed harder. Sarah, sign it now or we're talking about this later, in private. Don't ruin the evening for our guest. The pressure built, his soft threat hanging in the air, using the family image and Lisa's presence as leverage. I asked again for time. Just let me think it over tonight. But he shook his head, eyes narrowing. No, we need it done. Lisa's here. Let's not waste her time. She cleared her throat. I don't mind, really. But the awkwardness thickened, and with the kids watching expectantly, I felt cornered. my resistance crumbling under the weight of keeping peace. Finally, I picked up the pen, signing with a heavy hand, the act feeling like another piece of me breaking. There, done. Mark beamed, tucking the papers away. See? Easy. The rest of dinner dragged on with forced chatter, Lisa complimenting the kids while Mark steered the conversation away from anything real. As we cleared the plates later, Lisa said goodbye at the door, thanking me again. Lovely evening. Thanks for having me. Mark walked her out, his hand brushing her back subtly, and I turned away, the heartbreak crashing over me in waves. The kids headed to bed, hugging Mark tighter than me. Their innocent lean toward him, leaving me utterly alone in the quiet house. Trust was shattered, the wound deeper now, pushing me toward a breaking point I could feel coming. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the signed papers left on the table, their edges catching the dim light like a final taunt, while the memory of that necklace's glint haunted every breath. The morning of December 26th hit me like a hangover from hell, even though I hadn't touched a drop of alcohol the night before. The house was quiet at first, with the faint sounds of Emily and Jake stirring in their rooms, probably still buzzing from the holiday excitement, while I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the weight of that dinner with Lisa pressing down on me. Her diamond necklace kept flashing in my mind, sparkling under our dining room lights, a constant reminder of Mark's betrayal and how he'd forced me to sign those shady papers right in front of her. I finally got up, splashed water on my face in the bathroom, and headed downstairs to the kitchen, where Mark was already sitting at the table with a mug of coffee, scrolling through his phone like everything was normal. The kids joined us soon after, Emily rubbing her eyes and Jake clutching his new toy car, both plopping down for breakfast as I poured cereal into bowls, my hands moving on autopilot. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" Emily asked, her voice bright and innocent. Breaking the silence as she spooned up her food, I nodded absently, trying to focus on her, but my eyes kept drifting to Mark, the anger from last night simmering just below the surface. "Sure, if the weather holds," I replied, sitting down across from him. He looked up then, his expression neutral at first, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. The way he'd paraded Lisa in our home, the lies about the business loan, it all boiled over. "Mark, we need to talk about last night. Those papers aren't for any loan. I know you're hiding money for her." My voice came out sharper than I planned, trembling a bit, and the kids froze mid-bite, their eyes widening. Mark set his phone down slowly, sighing like I was the one being unreasonable. "Sarah, not this again. You're blowing things out of proportion in front of the kids." I leaned forward, my heart racing, the neglect from years of handling everything alone, fueling my words. Out of proportion. I saw her necklace, Mark, the one you gushed about on that call. "And now you're funneling our savings away? That's our money for our family." Emily dropped her spoon, clattering against the bowl, and Jake whimpered softly. "Mom, why are you yelling?" Mark stood up then, his face twisting into that familiar mask of concern, but I could see the calculation in his eyes. "See what I mean, kids? Your mom's been acting paranoid lately. I'm grateful for all the hard work I put in to keep this family going. She's unstable, making up stories about innocent work friends like Lisa." His words landed like punches, gaslighting me right there in our kitchen, framing me as the aggressor while he played the victim. "I'm not making it up. You bought her diamonds while I got a blender, after everything I've sacrificed, quitting my job to raise our kids." The argument escalated fast, my voice rising as I pointed at him, tears stinging my eyes from the humiliation of it all. "You're cheating, Mark, and stealing from us to fund it." Jake started crying outright, covering his ears, and Emily backed away from the table, looking scared. "Dad, make her stop!" Mark moved closer to them, wrapping an arm around each, his tone soothing but pointed. "It's okay, guys. Mom's just stressed and seeing things that aren't there. She's scaring you, and that's not fair. Sarah, you need to calm down. Take a break before you make this worse." I reached out to Jake, trying to comfort him. "Baby, I'm sorry, but Dad's lying." But Mark cut me off, his voice firm now. "Enough, Sarah. You're the one causing this chaos. For the kids' sake, you should leave for a bit, clear your head. Go stay somewhere else tonight so we can all breathe." His words hung in the air, the injustice of it slamming into me. He was asking me to leave our home, isolating me like I was the problem, all while protecting his secrets. The kids didn't argue. Emily clung to him, whispering, "Yeah, Mom, maybe you should go. You're making Jake cry." Jake nodded through his tears, too young to understand, but following her lead. I stood there, frozen, the heartbreak crashing over me as my own children turned away, manipulated by his reasonable act. "Mark, this is my home too," I protested weakly, but he shook his head. "Not if you're acting like this. Pack a bag, it's for the best." Numb, I went upstairs, throwing a few clothes and toiletries into a duffel, my mind reeling from the betrayal, feeling like I'd been stripped bare in front of my family. When I came back down, Mark was on his phone murmuring to someone, probably spreading his version already. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, pausing to hug the kids, but they pulled back a little. Emily saying softly, "Bye, Mom, hope you feel better." The door shut behind me with a final click, the cold winter air hitting my face as I got into the car, tears blurring the road ahead. I drove aimlessly at first, the humiliation burning deep, cast out like some unstable intruder after 15 years of building. That life. My phone buzzed with a notification as I pulled into a gas station to fill up. I tried to check our joint bank app for some cash, but it flashed, "Password changed, access denied." Mark had locked me out already, his calculated move leaving me with just the debit card in my wallet tied to the same accounts. I tested it at the pump, declined. "Insufficient funds," the screen read, even though I knew there was money there yesterday. Panic set in. He'd rerouted everything, probably sending 2FA codes straight to his phone now, cutting me off financially in one swift blow. With the little cash I had left in my purse, maybe $50 from holiday tips, I checked into a rundown motel on the outskirts of town, the clerk barely glancing at me as he handed over the key. The room was dim and musty, with peeling wallpaper and a bed that creaked under my weight as I sank onto it, the isolation wrapping around me like a vice. My phone started pinging then, messages from mutual friends trickling in naturally over the next hour. "Hey, Sarah. Mark mentioned you're going through a rough patch. Hope you're okay?" Another from our neighbor. "Heard about the argument, sounds like you need some space. Let us know if we can help." And one from a couple we knew through work. "Mark said you're dealing with stress. Thinking of you." Each one fueled by his story, painting me as the unstable one while he stayed home with the kids, probably texting Lisa about his victory. I curled up on the stiff sheets, sobs shaking my body. The despair overwhelming as I pictured her lounging in luxury with that diamond necklace, enjoying the fruits of my neglect while I hit rock bottom here alone. The rage burned through the tears, a fierce injustice at how he'd turned everything against me, my home, my children, my money, all gone in a flash of his manipulation. I stared at the cracked ceiling in that lonely motel room, feeling the full crush of betrayal and heartbreak, utterly stripped and isolated, wondering how much lower I could go. The morning light crept through the motel's grimy curtains on December 27th, hitting my face like a reluctant wake-up call, and I lay there for a moment, my body heavy from the exhaustion of crying all night. My eyes were swollen, my throat raw from the sobs that had racked me until dawn. But as I stared at the water-stained ceiling, something inside me clicked, a cold, clear decision that I wouldn't let Mark's betrayal bury me alive. I wiped the last traces of tears from my cheeks with the back of my hand, sitting up slowly on the sagging bed, feeling the shift from broken victim to someone who could fight back, even if it meant playing weak to catch him off guard. The humiliation of being locked out of our accounts and cast aside like yesterday's trash still burned, but it fueled me now, turning heartbreak into a quiet resolve to make him pay for the neglect and injustice he'd heaped on me after all these years. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, the battery low from endless scrolling through old family photos that only deepened the pain, and scrolled to my sister Anna's number. She was 35, divorced, and always the one who saw through the bullshit in our family. My fingers hovered over the call button, hesitation gripping me for a second, but then I hit it, holding the phone to my ear as it rang twice before she answered. "Sarah, it's barely 7. What's going on? You sound awful." Her voice was groggy but instantly alert, the kind of sisterly concern that pulled me back from the edge. I took a shaky breath, pacing the small room in my rumpled clothes from yesterday. "Anna, it's bad. Mark's having an affair with this woman, Lisa. He bought her a diamond necklace while I got a blender, and now he's kicked me out, locked the accounts, turned the kids against me. I'm in a motel with no money, and I signed some papers that are probably hiding our assets for her." There was a pause, and I could hear her sitting up, the rustle of sheets. That son of a bitch. "Okay, breathe. Where are you? I'll come get you right now." I stopped by the window, peeking through the blinds at the empty parking lot, the cold reality of my isolation hitting again. No, not yet. I need help, Anna. Real help. I can't just go back begging he'll twist it. But I won't let him win this. She sighed, her tone shifting to that practical edge she got from her office job. You're right. Come to my place first. We'll figure it out. But Sarah, you need proof before you do anything. I know a guy, a private investigator from a case at work last year. He's discreet, good at digging up financial stuff and affairs. I can call him for you. My heart quickened at the idea, the first spark of strategy cutting through the fog of neglect. A PI? Can we afford it? I'm broke. Mark cut me off completely. Anna didn't hesitate. I'll front the deposit, sis. $200 to start. You can pay me back later. Just get here and we'll set it up. I packed my duffel quickly, the few clothes and toiletries I'd grabbed in my rush yesterday, and checked out of the motel, handing over my last $40 to the clerk who barely looked up. The drive to Anna's apartment took about an hour, my car running on fumes as I stuck to side roads to avoid anyone spotting me. The injustice of scraping by while Lisa enjoyed her luxuries gnawing at me the whole way. When I pulled up to her building, Anna was waiting outside in her robe, waving me in with a tight hug that smelled like coffee and home. You look like crap. Come sit. She led me to her cozy kitchen table, pouring me a mug as I dropped my bag by the couch. Thanks for this, I said, sipping the hot liquid, feeling a bit of warmth return. I sent Mark a text on the way. Sorry for the outburst, need space to reflect, miss the kids. Just to keep him thinking I'm weak. Anna nodded approvingly, her laptop already open. Smart, lower his guard. Now about that PI. His name's Tom Reyes. I've texted him. He can meet us at the cafe down the street in 30 minutes. Confidential, no trails. We walked to the cafe together, the winter chill biting through my thin jacket. But I felt steadier with Anna beside me, her presence easing the isolation that had crushed me yesterday. The place was quiet, a few locals nursing coffees, and Tom was already there in a corner booth, a middle-aged guy in a plain coat, unassuming with sharp eyes that scanned us as we sat down. Anna's sister, right? She filled me in briefly, he said in a low voice, shaking my hand firmly. I nodded, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. Yeah, my husband's cheating and moving our money around. I need proof, discreetly. No calls to my phone, email only through a new account. Tom leaned in, his notebook out, but not writing yet. Understood. Affairs and assets are my specialty. I'll tail him, check public records, maybe some digital traces if you give me logins. Total confidentiality. Cash up front for the retainer. Anna slid him an envelope under the table, $200 she'd withdrawn, and he pocketed it without counting. We'll start with basics, his routines, her info. Give me what you have, names, addresses, that screenshot of her post. I handed over my phone, showing him the saved image of Lisa's necklace brag, feeling a weight lift as he nodded. Good start. I'll report in a few days. Stay low, act normal. Back at Anna's, I set up a new email on her computer, away from anything Mark could trace. The act making me feel like I was finally arming myself against his betrayal. As I logged into my old personal account, just the one not tied to our joint stuff, a notification popped up in the spam folder, an automated bank alert I'd missed. Transfer completed, $10. Earwoo to new payee account ending in 45611. Confirm changes? My breath caught. It was dated right after I'd signed those papers. Mark adding a new payee, probably for Lisa or some hidden spot. Anna, look at this, I said, turning the screen. She peered over my shoulder. That's your first clue. Proof he's moving funds. Forward it to the new email and to Tom. I did it quickly, my fingers flying. The discovery easing the heartbreak a notch by giving me something tangible to hold on to. He thinks he's won, but not anymore, I murmured, saving the notification as a PDF. We spent the afternoon planning quietly, Anna making sandwiches while I jotted notes on what Tom might need, like Mark's work schedule and Lisa's social media handle. You're doing this right, sis, she said, setting a plate down. Play weak, gather more, then hit hard. I nodded, sending Emily a quick text. Thinking of you both. Mom loves you. No reply, but it didn't crush me like before. I had a plan now, an ally in Anna, Tom on the job, and this transfer clue as my starting point. As evening fell, I sat on her couch, phone in hand with the saved email open, composing another weak message to Mark in my mind while clutching the PI's business card like a hidden blade, donning the mask of weakness even as my grip tightened on my first real weapon. A few days after that cafe meeting with Tom on December 27th, I was back at Anna's apartment, staring at my new email inbox on her laptop while she made us coffee in the kitchen. The place felt like a safe haven now, with its cluttered bookshelves and the faint smell of her lavender candles. But I couldn't shake the knot in my stomach from missing the kids, their voices echoing in my head from old videos I'd watched on my phone to get through the nights. I'd kept up the weak facade with Mark, texting him things like, "Still processing everything. Hope the kids are sleeping well." And he'd reply with short notes like, "They're good. Focus on yourself." His overconfidence seeping through like he thought he'd broken me for good. I refreshed the inbox again, and there it was. Tom's first update. A secure link to a folder with initial findings. "Check these," his message read. "More coming." I clicked it open. My heart racing as files loaded. Photos of Mark and Lisa walking arm in arm out of a fancy restaurant downtown, dated December 28th, her diamond necklace catching the flash, and a short audio clip from their conversation outside. I hit play on the audio, keeping the volume low so Anna could hear as she set down the mugs. Mark's voice came through clear, smug as ever. "Sarah's out of the way now, baby. Locked her out of the accounts. She'll come crawling back soon." Lisa laughed in the recording, her tone all silky. "Good, because that new condo deposit cleared. When do we move in?" Mark chuckled back. "Soon as the business funds transfer. I've got it all under control." I paused it, my hands clenching the mouse. The betrayal hitting fresh, but now mixed with a cold satisfaction. These were solid. Time-stamped proof of the affair, caught by Tom's discreet tailing without them noticing. "That's embezzlement talk," Anna said, leaning over my shoulder with her coffee. "He's using your shared business money for her condo? We need bank proof." I nodded, forwarding the files to my secure email. "Tom's on it." "This shifts things. He's boasting like he owns the world, but we've got recordings now." Later that afternoon, I decided to dig myself while waiting for more from Tom. Logging into the old business email portal that Mark hadn't fully cut me from yet, guest access I'd set up years ago for tax stuff, using Anna's VPN to stay hidden. I scanned through archived folders carefully, avoiding anything that might flag an alert, and spotted a chain from Mark to his accountant labeled Asset Adjustments. My breath caught as I opened it. Emails detailing transfers from our joint business account. $8, Zellro here, $12,000 there, to an account in Lisa's name, disguised as consulting fees, but with notes like, "For the new place. Keep it quiet." Attached were scanned bank statements showing the embezzlement clear as day, pulling from the company we'd built together, the one I'd poured my graphic design skills into before stepping back for the kids. "Anna, come look," I called softly, and she rushed over, her eyes widening. "That's straight-up stealing from marital assets. But check the signatures on those transfer approvals. That's supposed to be yours." I zoomed in on the PDF, spotting the forgery right away, my name scrawled in a hand that mimicked mine but with the S too. Looped, not my usual sharp one. "Forged," I said, my voice steady now. "He signed for me on joint property deeds too. Look, this one's for the house equity line." Rerouting it to her. Anna grabbed her phone, snapping pictures of the screen just in case. "Send this to Tom. He can verify the handwriting." "This is huge, Sarah. With the photos and audio, you're building a case that'll bury him in divorce court." I forwarded the emails and statements to Tom's secure drop, feeling the balance tip a little more in my favor, the growing evidence like a shield against the neglect I'd endured, channeling that old heartbreak into something powerful. My phone buzzed with a text from Mark then, as if on cue. "Kids asked about you. Told them you're taking a break. Everything's fine here." I showed Anna and she rolled her eyes. Overconfident prick, boasting to Lisa in that audio about controlling you. And now this? He thinks you're done. I typed back weakly. "Thanks for telling them. Miss them terribly." But inside, I was smiling grimly. Knowing these forgeries and embezzlement proofs were easing my pain by turning it into action. That evening, Tom called from a burner number. I'd given him Anna's landline for emergencies, and his voice was low but excited. "Got your files. The forged signatures match patterns from public records. I'll get an expert affidavit. Plus more photos. Them at a jewelry store today, him buying her earrings. And a recording from their car, parked public, legal over here." He emailed the new batch right after, and I opened it on the laptop, Anna peering with me. The photos showed Mark slipping a box to Lisa in the store, her kissing him openly, while the audio captured him saying, "Sarah suspects nothing, transferred another chunk from the business. We're set." Lisa replied, "Love how you handle it all. Makes me feel secure. I saved everything, the evidence stacking up. Forged deeds, embezzled funds straight to her lifestyle, photos and recordings of their intimacy, while Mark stayed blissfully overconfident, thinking he had me isolated and beaten. This shifts the power, I told Anna, printing the new statements to add to my growing file hidden in her guest room drawer. He's funding her whole life with our money, but now I've got the proof to stop it. Anna nodded, handing me a glass of water as we sat on the couch, the TV on low in the background. You're turning the tables quietly. Good. What if he checks the business email? I shook my head. Guest access doesn't log views. I was careful. Tom's tailing will get us more without risk. We reviewed the audio again, Mark's boasts making my blood boil but also strengthening my resolve, easing the injustice by showing me how to fight back. Later, I texted Emily directly. Hey, sweetie, how's your day? Mom's thinking of you. She replied after a bit, Okay, Mom, Dad says you're resting. When you coming home? It tugged at me, but I kept it light. Soon as I can. Love you. Mark must have monitored because he messaged, Don't push. We're handling things. His arrogance fueled me more, knowing my hidden evidence was chipping away at his control without him realizing. By the next morning, December 30th, Tom had sent one more update, a video snippet from a public park bench, them discussing finalizing the asset split while holding hands. I watched it twice, noting Lisa's smug smile, and added it to the file, the power shifting subtly as my case solidified. Forged signatures on deeds, bank statements proving embezzlement, visual and audio proof of the affair, all while Mark remained overconfident, boasting to her about having me under control. Anna high-fived me over breakfast. You're not the victim anymore, sis. This is your comeback starting. I nodded, tucking the folder away, the gathered evidence easing my heartbreak into calculated steps, ready for whatever came next. Those last days of December 2024 blurred together at Anna's place, with me poring over the evidence Tom had gathered, the photos of Mark and Lisa cozy in that restaurant, the audio clips of him bragging about locking me out, and those forged signatures on the property deeds that made my blood boil every time I looked at them. I sat on her couch one evening, December 31st, the New Year's Eve fireworks starting to pop outside the window, but I wasn't in a celebrating mood. Just focused on the laptop screen where I'd organized everything into folders. The embezzlement statements showing over $20,000 siphoned to Lisa's LLC staring. Back at me. Anna came in from the kitchen with popcorn, settling beside me. You've got enough to nail him now, Sarah. When do we make the first move? I closed the laptop, feeling that spark from the awakening grow into something sharper. The humiliation of being kicked out still raw, but now pushing me to test the waters without showing my full hand. I decided that night to start small, something to shake Mark's confidence without him tracing it back to me right away. An anonymous tip to his business partners, I told Anna, opening a new burner email on her computer, the kind Tom had shown me how to set up with no links to my name. Just hint at irregularities in the accounts, enough for a minor audit. She nodded, munching on the popcorn. Smart. Plants distrust without a big splash. I typed it out carefully, attaching a blurred screenshot of one embezzlement transfer I'd edited to hide sources, and sent it to the 3 main partners at his firm, people I'd met at company parties but never really connected with. Concerned employee here, the message read. Check the recent expenses. Looks like funds are going missing to personal accounts. Don't want the company to suffer. I hit send, my heart pounding as the email whooshed away, and leaned back, imagining their reactions when they opened it the next day. The next morning, January 1st, 2025, I woke up to a text from Tom. Tip landed. Partners are emailing each other about an emergency. Meeting. Mark's phone's blowing up. I smiled for the first time in days, picturing him scrambling over his coffee, that smug look fading as questions came in. Anna high-fived me over breakfast. First blood. How's it feel? I sipped my tea. The neglect from all those years of supporting his career now turning into quiet satisfaction. Like I'm finally fighting back, but I want to hit closer. Lisa needs a warning. She raised an eyebrow. Confront her? Risky. I shook my head. Privately, just a hint. Make her paranoid without revealing everything. We planned it out, using Tom's latest photos to track her routine, and by afternoon, I was driving Anna's car to a coffee shop near her apartment, the one where she'd posted that necklace selfie before. I spotted Lisa inside, sitting alone with her laptop, that diamond necklace still around her neck like a trophy from my ruined marriage. I walked in casually, ordering a latte at the counter before sliding into the seat across from her, my face calm but my insides churning with the injustice of it all. She looked up, startled, her eyes narrowing. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" I set my cup down, keeping my voice low and steady. "We need to talk, Lisa, about Mark and that little life you're building on my family's money." She glanced around the shop, her hand touching the necklace nervously. "I don't know what you're talking about. He's just a colleague." I leaned in closer, pulling out my phone and showing her a single blurred photo from Tom's collection, them at the restaurant, faces obscured but the necklace clear. Colleagues don't get diamonds while wives get blenders. And they don't get condos funded by embezzled business money. Back off or this goes public. Her face paled, her fingers tightening on her cup. "You have no proof. Mark said you're unstable, making things up." I pocketed the phone, not showing more, just enough to plant the seed. "Oh, I have more than you think. Transfers, forgeries, recordings of him boasting about controlling me." "Tell him that. Or don't. Let him find out the hard way." She shifted in her seat, her confidence cracking as she whispered harshly, "You're bluffing." "He'll handle this." I stood up, leaving my latte untouched. "Maybe. But doubt's a funny thing. It spreads. Enjoy the necklace while it lasts." I walked out without looking back, my legs shaky from the adrenaline. But a boost of morale hit me hard in the car. Knowing I'd sown paranoia in their little circle without a full reveal, by the time I got back to Anna's, Tom had texted again. Lisa called Mark right after, sounded freaked. He's yelling at partners about the tip, saying it's a glitch. Anna laughed when I told her. "They're squirming. Your morale up." I nodded, pacing the living room as fireworks lit the sky outside, the small strike feeling like a win after so much heartbreak. Yeah, but it's just the start. He's shaken, not broken. That night, Mark texted me out of the blue. "What's this about you harassing Lisa? Stay away or it'll get worse." I showed Anna and we shared a grim smile. "See? Distrust planted. He's paranoid now." I replied weakly, "Harassing? I don't know what you mean, just missing the kids." His silence after that told me everything. He was off balance, questioning his inner circle, while I sat with my growing file of evidence, the power shifting just enough to boost me forward. The antagonists were squirming for the first time, and it felt damn good. The next day, January 2nd, I got an update from Tom about the audit ripple. Partners had called a minor review of accounts. Nothing full-blown yet, but Mark was canceling meetings to fix glitches, his overconfidence cracking under the pressure. Anna and I reviewed the new audio he'd sent. Lisa's voice tense. "What if she knows about the transfers?" Mark snapped back. "She doesn't. It's handled." But his tone had doubt, the seed I'd planted growing. I felt my morale soar, the humiliation from Christmas morning fading a bit as I saw them unravel, testing the waters successfully without them knowing the storm coming. The high from that first counterblow didn't last long, hitting me hard by the afternoon of January 2nd, 2025. As I sat in Anna's living room refreshing my burner email for Tom's next update, the printed evidence spread out on the coffee table like a war map. Anna was in the kitchen making sandwiches, calling out questions about what I'd do next, but my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number that made my stomach drop. "Back off, or you'll regret it. M." I stared at the screen, showing it to Anna when she came in with the plates. "Mark, how'd he get this number?" She set the food down, her face tightening. "Probably Lisa told him about your coffee shop chat. He's escalating." I nodded, the paranoia I'd planted in them now turning back on me. But before I could reply, another message came through. "Restraining order filed. You're unstable. Stay away from the house and kids." My hands shook as I read it aloud, the sabotage intensifying just like I'd feared. Mark using his lawyer connections to paint me as the threat while he hid behind legal papers. I called Tom right away on the burner phone he'd given me, pacing the room as it rang. Anna watching with crossed arms. "Tom, it's Sarah. Mark just threatened me via text and says he filed a restraining order." His voice came through calm but urgent. "Okay, slow down. I'll check court records, public filings. Don't go near the house. That'll play into his hands." I hung up, sinking onto the couch, the isolation hitting fresh as I pictured Emily and Jake at home without me, Mark feeding them more lies about how unstable I was. Anna sat beside me, rubbing my back. He's panicking from that tip to his partners. The audit's got him scrambling. But even as she said it, My regular phone dinged with emails from mutual friends. Heard about the order. Mark says you're harassing them. Hope you're getting help. Another from our neighbor. Saw police at your place. Everything okay? The rumors were spreading. Fast. Mark intensifying his smear campaign to make me look like the villain, destroying my reputation in our social circle while I hid out here. By evening, Tom emailed a scan of the restraining order filing. Temporary. Claiming I was mentally unstable and a threat to the family, citing my harassment of Lisa and the family argument where he'd gaslighted me in front of the kids. It's bullshit, I told Anna, slamming the laptop shut as we ate dinner at the table. He's twisting everything to keep me away. She nodded, forking her salad. Classic move. Makes it seem like you're about to lose custody and assets for good. What now? I pushed my plate away, appetite gone. I need to check if he's destroying evidence. Those devices at home, our shared laptop, the business server. But with the order, I couldn't go near the place. The threats piling up as Mark texted again. Come close and I'll have you arrested. Kids don't want to see you anyway. The words cut deep, making it feel like I was losing them permanently. His sabotage pushing me to the brink again. The next day, January 3rd, I woke up to Tom's urgent call, his voice tense on the line. Bad news. Mark wiped the shared devices remotely. Logged into the business portal last night and deleted emails, including those forged deed scans you found. He's covering tracks. I sat up in the guest bed, rubbing my eyes. How do you know? Tom paused. Hacked? No, monitored the server logs legally through public access points. He's also changed all passwords, rerouted more funds, another 10 grand to Lisa's account. I got dressed quickly, heading to the kitchen where Anna was brewing coffee. He's destroying evidence, Anna. Wipe the emails and deeds. She handed me a mug, her face serious. That means the tip shook him bad. But you've got copies, right? I nodded, pulling out the printed file from the drawer. Yeah, and Tom's backups, but it feels like he's one step ahead now. Mark didn't stop there. Escalating with a call to Anna's landline that afternoon, I'd given him the number years ago for emergencies, and his voice boomed when she put it on speaker. Tell Sarah to stop her games. I know about the anonymous tip to my partners. That audit's costing me time. If she doesn't back off, I'll file for full custody. Prove she's unfit. Anna glanced at me, her tone cool. This is harassment, Mark. She's not here. He laughed bitterly. Oh, she's there, hiding like a coward. Tell her the kids are better off without her drama. I motioned for her to hang up, my chest tightening from the threats, feeling like I was about to lose everything again as he hung up first. Tom texted right after, he's meeting his lawyer, pushing for permanent order, and spreading more rumors. Told your old work friends you're having a breakdown. The social fallout hit harder. Emails from former colleagues. Mark mentioned you're struggling. Let us know if you need support. It isolated me further, making it seem like the world was on his side. By nightfall, I sat alone in the guest room, staring at the evidence folder. The pressure mounting as Mark's lawyer emailed me directly. Cease all contact or face contempt. Charges. Assets frozen pending divorce. The sabotage was intense now, him destroying digital trails while locking down the money, and it appeared like I was cornered, about to lose custody and everything permanently. Anna knocked on the door, peeking in. You okay? This is his strike back, but we've got the prints and Tom's files. I nodded weakly, but inside, the threats pushed me to the brink. The heartbreak peaking again amid the heightened mess. Yeah, but it feels like he's winning right now. She sat on the bed. Not for long. Hold on. I clutched the folder tighter, vowing to push through, even as his escalation made everything darker. The following morning, January 4th, Tom confirmed more destruction. He shredded physical copies at home, neighbor's security cam, caught him burning papers in the backyard. I paced the living room, telling Anna over coffee. He's erasing everything, and with the order, I can't even get close. She frowned. That's desperate, means he's scared, but yeah, it looks bad. Mark texted one last threat. One more move and you'll never see the kids again. The words hung heavy, intensifying the isolation, making it seem like I was done for good. Those threats from Mark hung over me like a dark cloud through the next few days. January 5th to 7th, 2025, but I didn't let them stop me. Sitting at Anna's kitchen table with my laptop open and the evidence folder thicker than ever. Prints of the forged deeds, embezzlement statements, photos of him and Lisa, and those audio clips where he boasted about controlling everything. I stared at the restraining order scan Tom had sent, my fingers tracing the words that called me unstable. But now I had irrefutable proof to flip it all. The bank records showing over $30,000 funneled to her LLC. The handwriting expert's affidavit confirming the forgeries on our house deed and business. Approvals and fresh video from Tom of them at a hotel, her wearing new earrings he'd bought with our money. Anna walked in from work, dropping her bag by the door. Any more from him? I shook my head, saving the latest email from Tom with attached footage. Just silence since that last threat. He's probably thinking he's scared me off. She poured herself water from the fridge. Good, means he's not expecting this. When do we set it up? I leaned back in the chair, feeling the power I'd built quietly now ready to unleash. The heartbreak from being locked out and smeared turning into a fierce calm as I planned the confrontation, a family mediation session, with lawyers, the kids, in-laws, even his business partners invited as witnesses. I'll make it public enough to hit him where it hurts. Anna nodded, sitting across from me. Smart. Use the evidence to control the room, but hold back the biggest bombshell for maximum impact. I picked up my phone. Dialing my lawyer first, a sharp woman Anna had recommended, who agreed to arrange it for January 10th at a neutral conference room downtown, framing it as a settlement discussion to lure Mark in without suspicion. He'll come thinking he's winning, I told her over the line, but I'll have everything ready. She confirmed the details, her voice confident. Send me the file previews. I'll prep the subpoenas quietly. I hung up, forwarding her the key docs. My hands steady now after weeks of shaking from rage and fear. Tom called that evening as I organized the prints into presentation folders, his update coming through the burner phone. Got more. Surveillance shows Mark shredding more papers at home. But I've backed up the digital trails from public servers, and Lisa's been arguing with him on calls, paranoid about your warning. I smiled grimly, tucking the phone between my ear and shoulder while labeling a folder embezzlement proof. Perfect. Can you be there as a witness? Bring the originals. He agreed without hesitation. I'll have the full report printed and notarized. This'll grip anyone watching. After the call, I texted the in-laws, Mark's parents, who I'd always gotten along with despite everything, inviting them under the guise of family reconciliation, knowing they'd pressure him to show if he tried backing out. His mom replied quickly, "We'll be there, dear. Hope we can fix this." I showed Anna the message. They're clueless about his affair. Wait till they see the photos. She grinned back. This setup's gold, tension building before the drop. The next day, January 8th, I met my lawyer at her office to rehearse, spreading the evidence on her desk as she flipped through the forged deeds and listened to the audio clips on her computer. This is solid: embezzlement, fraud, adultery. We'll lead with the financials to hook the partners, then the personal stuff for the family. I nodded, practicing my lines in her mirror-walled conference room. I'll stay calm, reveal piece by piece. She handed me a stack of copies. Hold the video for last, him boasting about the transfers while kissing her. That's the bombshell. Back at Anna's, I invited key witnesses via secure email, 2 of Mark's business partners who'd started the audit. After my tip, framing it as related to company irregularities, one replied, "Will attend, concerns about funds." I high-fived Anna over dinner. They're coming. Now it's all set. She clinked her glass to mine. You're in control, sis. He's walking into a trap. By January 9th, the day before the mediation, I had everything arranged. The conference room booked, catering ordered to keep it civil looking, and my outfit picked out. Something professional to contrast his smug suit. Tom dropped off the final packet at Anna's door. A thick envelope with notarized photos, recordings on a USB, and the expert reports. This'll seal it, he said, shaking my hand. Stay strong. Audience will be gripped. I reviewed it all one last time, holding back the full reveal even from Anna. Wanting the tension to peak in the room, Mark texted that night, "See you tomorrow." "Better have an apology ready," I replied simply, looking forward to it. Inside, my reclaimed power surged, contrasting the humiliation he'd put me through. As I pictured the faces when I dropped the evidence, kids learning the truth gently, in-laws shocked, partners furious. The setup was perfect, gripping everyone before the storm hit. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the file beside me like a loaded gun, knowing tomorrow I'd take full control by inviting them all, witnesses ready. The final bombshell, the video of him admitting everything, poised to maximize the drama. That settlement conference on January 10th, 2025, in the neutral downtown office building felt like the air was charged with electricity from the start. The long oak table surrounded by chairs where everyone took their places under the fluorescent lights, my lawyer on my right with her stack of folders ready, while I sat straight-backed in my gray suit, forcing my breathing to stay even after all those weeks of building my case in secret. Mark arrived with his attorney, looking every bit the confident businessman in his tailored shirt, nodding curtly to his parents who sat at the far end with Emily and Jake between them, the kids glancing at me with uncertain smiles that broke my heart a little. Emily whispering, "Mom?" before Mark shot her a warning look and said under his breath, "Behave, this is adult stuff." His two business partners came in next, briefcases in hand, one muttering to the other about the ongoing audit as they settled near the door, and Tom slipped into a back chair with his envelope of originals, giving me a subtle nod. My lawyer stood first, addressing the room calmly. "We're here for a mediated discussion on marital and business matters, open disclosures to reach a fair resolution." Mark leaned forward with a smirk, his voice dripping arrogance. "Good, because Sarah owes me an apology for all this drama. The restraining order stands. She's unstable, and the assets are locked down. House, business, custody with me." His mom nodded sadly, patting Emily's hand. "We just want peace for the children, dear." I took a deep breath and stood, sliding the first set of copies across the table, the jeweler's receipt for the $5 URO diamond necklace charged to our joint credit card, dated right before Christmas. "Let's start with this, Mark. You gave your mistress Lisa a diamond necklace while I unwrapped a blender that morning. Practical for the kitchen, you said, while she got luxury on our dime." The room shifted, his parents exchanging confused glances as his dad picked up the paper. "Son, is this true? A mistress?" Mark waved it off, his face tightening. "Old news, exaggerated. She's just a colleague. Next?" I didn't flinch, handing out the next batch. Photos and video stills of him and Lisa arm in arm at restaurants and hotels, her necklace sparkling in every shot. "Colleagues don't kiss like this or check into rooms together. Here's the proof. Time stamped over months." Emily's eyes went wide, staring at the images. "Dad, that's the lady from dinner. You said she was work." Jake looked up at him, confused. "Why is she hugging you?" Mark's partners shifted uncomfortably, but his lawyer interjected quickly. "These could be doctored, irrelevant to assets." His mom covered her mouth, turning to him. "Mark, how could you betray your family like this?" I kept going, distributing the bank records next, the transfer confirmations and statements showing over $30. €0 siphoned from our joint business account to Lisa's LLC, labeled as vague expenses but clearly funding her lifestyle. "You embezzled from the company we built together, Mark. Money meant for our family's future. Rerouted to her condo and gifts. This ties into the irregularities your partners are already auditing." The partners grabbed the papers, one standing up red-faced. "This matches what we've seen. Suspended immediately, Mark. No more access to accounts. We're initiating a forensic audit per our agreement. Authorities will be notified." Mark slammed his hand on the table, his voice rising. "This is a witch hunt. Those are legitimate business costs." But his dad shook his head, disappointed. "Son, this looks bad. Stealing from your own company?" Emily tugged my sleeve across the table, her voice small. "Mom, did Dad really take our money?" The escalation built as I laid out the handwriting expert's affidavit, detailing the forged signatures on our property deeds and bank approvals, plus logs from Tom showing Mark's attempts to wipe emails and shred documents remotely. "You faked my name to hide assets, then tried to erase the trail, but backups exist, and the digital footprints are public record." Tom's voice cut in from the back, standing to pass out his report. As the investigator, I confirmed the deletions happened after the audit started, tampering evident. Mark's lawyer paled, whispering furiously while his partners nodded grimly. "This voids your equity. Buyout clause activated. We're freezing everything temporarily." His mom turned away from him, tears in her eyes. "We've supported you too long, Mark. This is unforgivable." Jake started sniffling and Emily hugged him, looking at me. "Mom's telling the truth, isn't she?" For the final bombshell, I plugged in the USB, projecting the video clip on the wall screen. Mark and Lisa in the park, his voice booming through the speakers. "Sarah's out of the picture. Assets are safe. Transferred the funds to your account, baby." He kissed her on camera, admitting it all. The room fell silent, Mark's face crumbling as he stared at the screen. That's private, he stammered, but his partners stood. That's confession to fraud. We're filing complaints today. His dad rose too, disgusted. We're done here, son. You've lost our respect. Emily burst into tears, reaching for me. I want to go with Mom. The mediator stepped in quickly. Given the disclosures, we'll recommend temporary custody to Sarah. Emergency hearing scheduled. Assets frozen pending investigation. No changes allowed. Mark begged then, his voice cracking. Please, everyone, let's talk this out. Sarah, have mercy. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But I met his eyes coldly. You undervalued my loyalty, Mark. Now it destroys you. In the following weeks, the pieces fell into place. The forensic audit confirmed the embezzlement, leading to formal charges against Mark for fraud and forgery, his partners buying him out at a loss while he faced mounting legal bills. The court granted me temporary custody right after the meeting, with the kids moving back home under a parenting plan. Emily and Jake slowly opening up about his lies as we rebuilt our routines, his parents testifying on my behalf at the hearing where full custody went to me. Assets were preserved temporarily, then awarded in the divorce. House, savings, half the business shares, while Lisa retreated, her LLC scrutinized and the condo sale frozen, her lawyer advising her to cut ties to avoid accessory charges. Mark ended up isolated, reputation in ruins as word spread through our circle, begging for plea deals but getting none, his pleas falling on deaf ears. I started fresh, enrolling the kids in counseling and picking up freelance graphic design again, leaving that cheap blender on the doorstep of his empty apartment as a symbolic farewell. The moral clear, undervaluing loyalty invites its own destruction. Have you ever felt that the person who hurt you the most is the one you trusted the most? If you've ever experienced being doubted, blamed, or hurt without being able to speak out, leave a I comment or briefly tell your story. No one is judging you here. We're just reminding each other of one thing. The truth may come late, but it always finds a way to be revealed. And if you want more stories like this about justice turning around, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode.